Natural history museums are great places to learn about our planet's biodiversity. There are almost 3 billion natural specimens of plants and animals in museums all over the world. But the vast majority of these specimens aren't on display to the public, and often museums keep over 90% of their specimens in storage. So why do museums have so many specimens? And what are they used for? Let's find out. Since the 19th century, museums have been collecting a range of biological specimens from the world's living and extinct plant and animal species. These specimens range from DNA samples to skin, bones, and entire organisms. But museums aren't just collecting specimens for the sake of it, they're actively used by scientists to learn more about the natural world, and are also used by historians, biological illustrators, and even law enforcement. Taxonomists in particular spend a lot of time assessing the biological classification of samples. Surprisingly, stored specimens are the largest source of new species discoveries. 2 out of every 3 new mammal species are discovered not in the wild, but in museums. Museums are also trusted with preserving important samples called type specimens. Type specimens are physical examples used to assign a species name, and are kept as a permanent reference for that species. When scientists want to compare between species, the type specimen is used. But these specimens aren't just useful for taxonomy, they're also incredibly important for our understanding of biodiversity, evolution, and human impacts on our planet. Museum specimens act as a snapshot of biological data from a range of times and places, so they can be used to track historical and geographical changes in species and their habitats. For example, historic eggshell specimens from the 19th century were used to confirm that the harmful pesticide DDT was causing declines of raptor species. Its widespread use led to thinner eggshells, which affected the success of the bird's reproduction. As technology has progressed, more and more specimens are being revisited for new research. Using modern techniques, DNA samples can be taken from museum specimens and analysed for new genetic information about that species. So museum specimens have plenty of uses, but it can be time-consuming to access lots of samples from different institutions. Recently, some museums have started digitising their collections and collecting high-quality scans of specimens and uploading them online. This means that specimens can be studied instantly and simultaneously around the world without getting damaged or over-examined. We've come to the Alfred Denny Museum at the University of Sheffield to meet some researchers that are aiming to create 3D scans of beaks of every living species of bird. Most of the birds that they scan are from the Natural History Museum. I spoke to Dr. Chris Cooney from the Macroevolution Research Group about their project.
From a biologist's perspective and somebody who's interested in understanding how biological diversity evolves, bird beaks are a really interesting case study because a single morphological trait tells us a lot about how a species interacts with the environment, where it lives, and what nesting material it uses, for instance. So just by focusing on divergence in a single trait, the beak, we can get a very good idea of how diversity accumulates over evolutionary history and how it relates to the origin of new species. The scanning process works like a normal camera, except that the scanner projects structured white or blue light onto the specimen, which is then recorded by the camera, and the scanning software stitches a series of 3D models together in order to form a complete 3D scan of the bird's beak.
So far, the team have scanned beaks from over 63% of all bird species. However, scanning is just the first step. The team have also set up a citizen science project called Mark My Bird, which allows the public to access these 3D scans online and help collect data. Almost 800 users are now registered and helping to gather data from these 3D beaks. If you'd like to get involved, visit the Mark My Bird website to take part. So there's much more to museum specimens than first meets the eye. So next time you visit a museum, think about where they came from and how they could be useful to understanding our natural world. Catch you later.